you are.
There we go.
There you go. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to this week's show. I'm Frank.
I'm Brian.
And this is The Drop. Welcome.
And this is Frank and Brian.
And this is Frank and Brian. No, wait. I'm Frank.
I'm Brian.
Okay. Right on. Hold on. I got a little bit of technical difficulty going on here. Do that. And do that. Okay, great. We're on. What's going on? How you doing?
Nothing, man.
Yeah?
Busy. I'm busy.
Yo, really? You're busy?
Yeah, I've been busy.
We said in last week's episode or whatever, or the last episode we recorded, or that's all, I don't know. I'm getting confused at this point. But at some point we said that we're not that busy. But today you're busy, huh?
No, not today. That's like it's just the week and next week, and then it slows down after a cruise to the Pines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of been all over the place, huh?
Yes. And I was going to actually have that in my notes about like these episodes since we're recording them now a week to 2 weeks ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So the things that I'm trying to remember what we talked about in the last episode.
You know, it's funny. Someone actually, funny story. So our lifestyle podcast posted up a photo of that orange Mazda, one of my favorite Mazdas built. And on one of the previous episodes, we talked about that. And you had, told me that Ryan Westcott actually built that truck.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then he hits me up after I post that. He says, oh, that's my old truck. I said, yeah, Brian told me. And I said, we talked about it in the podcast. And he says, which one? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's...
I don't know. He's like, I listened to the last podcast, the whole thing, and I didn't hear you talk about it. I said, yeah, it was one of them at some point is when I talked about it.
And then that leads me into this other part of that I wanted to talk about, like our titles are, since we are like, we kind of have a topic. Sometimes we talk about that topic the whole episode, and sometimes we just touch on the topic, but we still have to title these. And
right.
You know what I mean? We're not famous like Tom Segura, and where they can just put the episode number and the title of the podcast.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
We kind of want to give some direction. So, like the title might only be 15 to 20 minutes of what we actually talked about.
I thought about this. So you're referring to this episode that's currently aired right now on my channel, which is the custom mods. But we only really talked about custom mods for like maybe 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, and then we try to make sure that the audio version and the video version line up. So if you like want to go back and watch the video version after the audio or whatever, you know which one you're looking for, right? So there's no confusion. Right. But when I was driving home from Texas is when we were talking, when you were uploading the video version.
Oh, yeah.
And when you asked about the like what title, I was like, I forgot what I even named it.
Yeah.
But the funny part about the name of that episode, right? Custom modifications. Aren't all modifications custom?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I was like, after I said that, I was like, you're like, oh, you named it custom modifications. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I'm driving and it's real quiet. And I'm like, wait a minute. Does that even make sense?
No, it actually doesn't.
It doesn't make sense
because they're all custom modifications.
It doesn't matter if you like took your antenna off of your factory stock truck and put another one on. Now it is not. It's custom. And it's also a modification.
Right. Maybe we're talking about this in the very philosophical sense. I don't know. I'm just trying to make stuff up.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, should we change? No, we're not changing the name.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, and a lot of people got a lot of good feedback with that episode. A lot of people are into it. A guy that I know who listens to every podcast. Thanks, Mark, for listening. I appreciate it. He is the guy that we coach softball with.
Yeah.
Knows nothing about what we do. Like, I mean, it's like just completely opposite to what he's used to. And it's really interesting to me because he always asks me questions. Like sometimes we gloss over stuff so quickly that, or not even quickly, like we just gloss over stuff because it's just normal stuff to us. So he asked me, he says, so what does bagged mean? I was like, oh, okay. Well, so I explained it to him and it just kind of put things into perspective about the things we talk about. And we're talking about bags and body drops and shaving and like all of these like really if you think about it, they're just like, there's random words like It sort of goes back to that conversation we were having about calling it skating or railing or cruising. Like, it's just these arbitrary words that we come up with.
And I think, and that's going to translate into the titles, because sometimes we think too hard about the titles and we're like, okay, what do we talk about? And at some point, I think it's just like, oh, this sounds good. Just title it that, because these podcasts are going to end up being all over the place.
Yeah. Pretty soon, they're just going to be a conversation with Frank and Brian.
Or they'll just be us like this.
Yeah. I'm waiting for that day. I'm a little worried today, to be honest with you.
Are you?
I'm coming into this thing blank-minded, so we'll see where this one... No, nothing. I'm sorry.
It's all right, because we got some, like, the Instagram, like you were saying, how we got some really good... And luckily, I looked at that last night, because when you said, like, hey, man, we got some really cool, like, questions or comments on the Instagram. So I went and looked, and I didn't see him. And I was like... I saw like Mike Myers. He's a normal conversation. And this other guy, and I was like, but I don't see anything new. I was like, what is Frank talking about? And so I finally went back in. I was like, did I miss something? Because what happens is we both run the Instagram. So if Frank reads something, then it's not going to show us a new message. So I have to go through and kind of like, we have to each go through and see what we have each have read or responded. But then I saw the request folder and it had 3. And I was like, oh, there's 3. And then, but they were new. And I was like, must be what he's talking about.
Yeah. Like I expressed kind of like through our messages and stuff. Like sometimes I feel like I'm not very articulate. Like I appreciate all these messages and I read them and I'm very appreciative of them. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I just go, thanks. I don't know. I got to work on that. We talked about that.
I'm
working on it.
This is all part of working on ourselves.
Exactly, because this is the drop with Frank and Brian, 2 middle-aged men working out their problems.
This is the drop means therapy.
Yeah. Do you want to really touch on that about the exciting things going on with the drop?
Oh, I thought we were going to touch on therapy session.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we could. That's a different subject.
Oh, you mean our logo?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Which by the time this airs, we will have the files. I'm gonna actually go through, I think, and change all the thumbnails.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, okay. I have to do it on my end too, but yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, it'll be super easy because I have just the PSD files, and I think it'll be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be great. So you gotta let our audience know what we're talking about.
We have a new logo.
Yes. Yes, we have a new logo,
and we talked about it in I don't even know. See, this is the episode.
Exactly. In one of the previous episodes,
we're going to talk about we're just going to say previous, and it's going to be your job to go back and listen. But anyways, Vanda Graphics. He's out of Melbourne. His name is Paul Van der Toren. Forgive me, Paul, if I'm not saying this right. But anyways, he's out of Melbourne, and with the luxury of being able to talk to people around the world now, you're not limited to just going down the street to get things. So, anyways. Yeah. He reached out and he was like, hey, I'd love to work with you guys about doing some logo stuff. And you replied with, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. Like, this guy's giving us just this awesome thing, and he's just so excited about it, and all I can offer is thanks, man. Because, like, I don't know, like I said, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm going to be more articulate, and I'm going to put more thought into my responses.
What was that when I was at your house, and I was like, you just kind of walk around, like, but if I ask you a question, you're just kind of like lost in your thought of this, so you can't concentrate on this?
I am very one-tracked mind. Yeah. Like you know what? And my kids have figured it out, and they use it to their advantage. If I'm looking at a computer screen or my phone, I'm not there. I'm gone. And so they'll come up to me and just like ask for things. I'm like, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, yeah. And then they were like hustling me.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out. So then now I'm doing something, and they say, huh? And I go, and I catch myself. I go, oh, no. He said, hold on. He said, I'm not here right now. I'm in a conversation somewhere else.
I have to do that with anyone. I have this thing now. If I'm talking to you and you're looking at your phone, we do this on road trips. Me and you will be talking, and like you'll look at your phone. I'll stop talking.
Yeah,
because I'm like, I'll wait, and I'm not being rude because I get on my phone all the time too.
Yeah,
and I do it to Chelsea and all this stuff, and it's just like, so now I have this thing where we're in a conversation, like we have to be in that conversation. So I do the same thing on Instagram. If I'm in that conversation, I don't want to be distracted because again, I'll just not pay attention to what you said or what. Anyways, so. But anyways,
and that's just to finish the thought on that. Like we almost should call this podcast like the Drop of Frank Blanche social media, commentary or something, because that's another like byproduct of today. Like it's talking through even like Messenger or text message or through Instagram Messenger you're having a conversation with someone. So it's like almost like talking on the phone. Mm-hmm. Like you wouldn't come up to someone and just start talking to them when they were on the phone, and that's how today's society is, or world, or however, like whatever commentary you want to put on it. But like, that's it. Like when I'm in a message, I'm talking to somebody, interacting with them. So it has like my focus, and I don't know, just some social commentary and observation.
Pay attention, Frank,
and pay attention and drink my water, because that's the other thing that we've noticed and pointed out is like I just use this water as like a coping mechanism to deal with like, okay, I'm done talking, and then I take a drink.
Well, sometimes I'll forget that we're videoed. Like I'm glad I have a monitor right here next to you to see me what's recording over here, because otherwise I would forget that we're recording and I would just start picking at things. Like weird thing. I have to stop. People are watching me.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm constantly glancing over to my camera, because I'm actually pretty hyper aware of when I'm being recorded.
Yeah,
and I just sort of, that's how, like, I don't know, and maybe maybe I'm like two different people. Like when the camera turns off, maybe I'm a little different. I think I'm a little more reserved when the camera's off, because when I know the camera's on, I'm like aware, and I'm like, again, going down these many rabbit holes as we talk, like that thing in particular is how I got, and I don't want to say good at vlogging, because that's, that could be or not could be, but that's how I got myself to be comfortable with what I do, is because when I first started, and I'm sure anybody who tries to do this figures this out real quick, when you first start talking to the camera, you just feel like you're talking to yourself, and it's really awkward and weird, and especially when you're out in public. But it wasn't until I realized that I was talking to someone else, like all of the people who are watching, I'm talking to them, is when I broke that wall, and I was able to be comfortable, because now I'm not talking to this inanimate thing or myself. I'm actually talking to people. Like, every time I look at the camera and I'm looking at the audience. Yeah. So
we're talking to you.
We're talking to you guys, straight to you, which is also strange, because you're like, if it would be one thing if it was live and you knew people were on the other end watching, but currently no one's watching. So that's another like psychological thing you got to get through, is still realizing that someone will see this,
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we talking about?
I don't know. Let's ask the audience. Oh, no one said anything.
No one said anything. No, we can't read the comments on this one as they come in. So we got a new logo coming. That's awesome. Really excited about that. He did such a cool job on that. Like,
was it cool when you saw it? You're like, oh, this is.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like I do that sometimes. I could see things and just like, I don't know. Sometimes my gut reaction is exactly what I think. Like I saw it and I was like, that's it. It's perfect. It's so simple.
Remember when I told you, I was like, when you did reply to him, like, thanks, man, that's awesome. And I was like, no, I messaged you. I was like, Frank, no, this guy's like a professional.
I know.
Like,
I know.
And I'm not saying that like, it's funny because sometimes you'll get offered things and you don't know. Like I've been offered t-shirt designs and then I get them and I'm like, I don't know. But like,
I've had that.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a knock, but
it's just, it's sort of like exactly what I'm talking about. It's like that first gut reaction. Like sometimes you look at it and you're like, no. But then sometimes it grows on you. So that's that's hypocritical in itself. But the logo, the new logo, the drop logo, I saw it and I was like, that's it.
Oh, hold on one second.
Was it Amazon? What is that? What do you got there?
Those are.
Oh,
what is it?
I see. Is that a Stone Fab logo?
Yeah, but it's just by cups from my kit that I picked up at C10
but it's still I saw that Stone Fab logo.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm more excited for this. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm going to do this. Oh, yeah.
For our audio listeners, Brian has just received 2 packages in the mail.
I had to sign for them, so. Yeah.
And he's opening them right now. One of them being some cups for his OBS build from Stone Fab. And the other one we're eagerly waiting on the edge of our seat to see. And for our visual audience, I mean, you guys see all this going down right now.
Oh, here it is. Ready?
Yeah, hit me with it. Is that
the new 14 Pro?
Jeez, come on.
In purple.
Jeez, you're just gonna come with that kind of heat today? Dang, dude.
All right, let's get back to this.
Let's get back to work. Well, now I'm gonna be jealous because I got this old piece of junk right here.
I remember you were talking about updating, and I was actually going to tell you, I'm glad you didn't update yet, because
the 14.
The 14. The only reason I update, I don't usually update. I have a 12, and I usually wait 5 or 6 years.
I remember you adamantly saying that was the last cell phone you were going to buy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know.
Well, I've been using my phone a lot more, like going to the diesel truck shows. I've been recording reels. I've been using it a lot more just for fill-in video. Like when we went to C10s in the park and Buc-ee's, I just brought my phone in and did that. This one has a mode where you can run, not that I'm going to run, at full speed, and it keeps it steady.
Oh, so it's got stabilization in it.
I can't hear you.
And so, well, while you're figuring that out audio, I'm going to appeal to Angie, who is going to be listening to this episode. You know, Apple iPhone 14. That sounds pretty nice. It's a business expense.
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I didn't know if I was just filling time.
I was going in and out, but yeah, it's a business expense, and again, I wouldn't have got it, but I've been using it a lot for work. So
yeah, because you're getting very involved with Stay Loaded now.
Yeah. So
right?
if you see diesel truck stuff, if you want to see diesel truck stuff, go to the Stay Loaded Instagram and YouTube channel.
That was quite the adventure we just had.
Absolutely rude interruption.
So back to the logo. It's super awesome. We're gonna have merch coming out. We're gonna have hats, shirts, all sorts of different things. Again, a big thank you to Paul for doing that up for us.
Yeah, and if you need logos for your brand, your company, whatever, I'll put his information in the description, and we'll be blasting him quite a bit. So.
Oh yeah, big time. And you're right, that's so cool. Like this dude's in Australia, and we've made this connection, and we have these connections just all over the world.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome. But okay, so we talked about that. What else? We have some questions. We have some messages. Let's get into those.
All right, you're going out of order here, but let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't read You can't read my notes that are sitting here off camera.
Oh no, I can't.
I know. Yeah, let's go to questions. These are my notes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
C10s in the park.
Oh, that's right. That's what you went to that last weekend.
Funny story about that. With that involves you.
Me? I wasn't even there.
I know. So I have C10s in the park. Maverick news. Questions. Dead cat.
Oh.
Busy and FFF show updates. So we have to cover that in the next whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start at the top. I love the dead cat thing just throwing in there.
That's exactly what my notes say.
We'll get to that in a minute. But go ahead. Let's start with the C10s in the park. How was it?
Which I just showed that dead cat video. Spoiler alert to Milan, and he was watching it on the phone with me, and he was blown away.
Really? It was just I was blown away.
Okay, let's stop there.
All right, let's stop there.
Pay attention for dead cat stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
So C10s in the park. Went last weekend with Joe from C10 Vatos and Morgan. And yeah, it was a good time. So we drove all the way to it's Waxahachie, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We left Joe's house at like 6 a.m. or something like that. And we drove the 40 up to Amarillo, went to the steakhouse. And
did you guys eat testicles?
No.
No, they weren't down?
No, and because I wasn't eating them, because I had I saw Angie behind you.
Yeah, she has a day off today.
So because I'm on a diet, right? So I'm like not eating a ton. So they're like, if you're not getting them, we're not going to order them by ourselves. For those of you who don't know, the Amarillo Steakhouse, the famous steakhouse, they have Rocky Mountain oysters there. And,
and one time it was you, me, and Doug. We were headed to Slamily in Arkansas, and we stopped in there, and we were brave enough. We got an order.
Yeah,
it kind of tastes like just chewy chicken nuggets.
Yeah, but anyway,
so no balls.
No balls. Then we ended up rolling into the hotel down there around 2, 3 in the morning. So it was a long trip. But then we woke up on Friday. The nice thing about that show is like you could sleep in on Friday, and vendors set up. get down there, set your vendor up, and then you have the whole day just to not do anything because it's only a Saturday show. But we roll up, right? And Terry, the guy that runs it, was there, and then one of his guys, and they're like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And the one guy, the first thing out of his mouth, he said, "Is Frank coming?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we were like, Joe looked at me, and I looked at Joe, and we're like, "No, but we're here. We're here. This isn't Frank, okay?
This isn't the Frank show."
So the whole weekend, we're like, Frank had to have set that up. And I was like, "No, that dude's he's a mini truck guy."
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So the whole weekend we were like cracking jokes like,
"That's hilarious.
Where's Frank at? Is Frank here?" Like people coming up to the booth. "Where's Kustom Life?" Because he's a C10 guy now.
Yeah, I broke in. I'm here, baby. You did tell me that a lot of people did come up to you and kind of like say good things about the podcast. And
yeah. So
that's really cool that we're reaching all these people. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was funny because last year Lindsay went, and so she helped run the booth while I was filming. Mm-hmm. But no more show coverage. Brian over here.
Oh, so did anybody like confront you about? Not confront you. That's a strong word.
They're like, "Get out there and film."
It's like, "Film my truck."
A lot of inquiries, but mostly me sitting at the booth going, "Should probably go film stuff."
Uh-huh.
But
there's that little voice.
Yeah. But I didn't have anyone to run my booth except all the Dallas peeps showed up. So
they did.
Sean,
cool.
From our club, Sean Thurman, Lori, Ed was there, Matt from Houston.
Ed, awesome.
Yeah. So I ended up going out and filming.
No, so now you're gonna make a show coverage video.
I'm gonna make a show coverage. But I only did a little bit of it, and they remember I told you that show has like an after party that I did downtown. They pick 80 trucks from the show, park them downtown, and have a concert. Last year we said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go," because I wanted to film that because it makes part of the video.
Right.
But we didn't. We were too tired. This year we were like, "We're going to that for sure." We didn't.
Oh, you didn't go? Oh.
We ended up sitting at the hotel lobby talking to a couple guys eating pizza.
Oh. See, and like, I think that's why all of this works so well, because we are two different personalities.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely go do that and like film it and like, so that's sort of like the balance of everything.
Yeah. And if I was like 100% on or if I was hired to shoot the show, or if I was, I would have done it 100%. But what kicks our butt is, Joe said this, we were all gung ho to go all day. It was great. Like the weather wasn't super bad. It wasn't too hot. But then we tore down the booth.
Oh, and you get that little taste of
tearing down that booth.
Yeah.
Well, no, tearing down the booth just wipes you out.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Like,
then that too, definitely.
Tired wise, like it's just like everything's good, and then you're like, I have to put all this stuff away. And for those of you who don't know, that Joe has a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I thought you were gonna say that like once you tear down, you get that taste of like accomplishment. Like you went through the day, you did good, you sold merch, and you broke it down, and you get that like sense of relief. Like
I didn't
you're
get
done.
that sense on this time, only because I had a photo shoot to do afterwards, and we weren't leaving till the morning.
Oh, okay.
So the morning when we woke up, that's when I got that sense of, all right, it's time to go home. But
yeah.
So I failed once again. I failed myself by
You didn't fail anybody. Like, because that's the whole point. The whole point of you making that video and making these statements was just to be like, you're going to do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that way it played out exactly how you made you happy. Even going out there and filming the show coverage, it was under your like conditions, or how would you say it? It was like,
yeah, because I didn't walk around the whole park. I just walked around a couple spots. I saw some cool trucks, filmed them. I filmed the trip out there, and some funny things. And then I'm just I don't even know if I'll make a video. It'll probably be like 4 minutes long, but it'll be up and out, and it's not going to be lingering over my head and out in 2 weeks. So I'm going to do that today.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great. That's really cool. Oh, that sounds like an awesome trip.
It was, and it was just like my first trip out after I made that video. So it was kind of weird. It was weird. Like it was just weird. But
yeah.
But
like you said, it was just that video was just for you. It was to get your mind straight, and now it's straight. And now you got out there and you had fun, and that's ultimately why we keep on doing all this, is just because it's fun.
Yes.
All
right. So are we doing questions or dead cat?
Well, I think we should get into this freaking dead cat story.
Let's do the dead cat story. So we're gonna put the video here. So if you're listening and you want to see,
we're putting the video.
I think I'm gonna have to blur out the actual.
Yeah, it's so forewarned. Anybody who's listening and is about to watch this, if we include it into the video, it is graphic, not gory, but it is disturbing. I would say that it is disturbing.
So here, it's not just that disturbing because it's funny. Like I was in Buc-ee's while you sent me this video. Mm-hmm. I was more concerned that they don't have turkey sandwiches at Buc-ee's anymore than you sending me this video. Because I get this video, so I'm walking around Buc-ee's, and then you send it to me, and I'm watching you walk around this truck. And then I saw the thing in... Okay, explain what happened.
Okay, I will start with the story. Okay. So you and I, we've been talking for a while about this Toyota that I have on my property.
Yeah.
It's like an 86... I don't know the exact year, but we can say it's like an 86 body style. Standard cab, long bed. And we've been talking about it, about doing stuff in it with the future. I mean, I won't get too much into those details because we don't know. But we've been talking about doing stuff in the future with it. So I'm sitting in my office here and kind of like a slow day. And I'm like, I'm just going to go out and really check this thing out, really get to understand what this thing is about. So I go out there and I just start looking at it and, checking out the motor, checking out the body. And then I noticed there's this sticker on the what's it called? The wind wing?
Wing window.
The small wing window. This sticker, and it's a PETA sticker. And I just really don't see those too many things. I just kind of made a mental note, like a little chuckle. Okay. And then looking in the back, checking out, okay, there's the hood. There's some pieces right there. I'm going to check out the inside. So I open the door and I look at the steering wheel first. I'm like, oh, cool. It's an automatic. I didn't know that. I thought it wasn't. And I glance over here and I jumped at least 4 or 5 feet back because it scared. And forgive me, you can believe this out. It scared the shit out of me. I jumped backwards. And what it was is this dead cat on the seat. And it wasn't just it was a completely intact cat. And the most disturbing part about it is it had no eyeballs. It's just these black voids in its head. And it fully intact. And so first I'm startled, oh my gosh. And then I'm intrigued. I'm like, what the heck? Why? And then I look around, the windows were rolled up. The wing windows were shut. The sliding thing in the back was shut. There's no holes on the floorboards or anything. How did this thing get in there? I mean, granted, it probably, perished in a not so nice way. It starved to death, basically.
It either was placed in there by one of your future serial murder children, or...
I doubt that because my kids love animals.
Watch them carefully now.
Yeah, right. No. I don't know. I mean, maybe at one point, maybe the door was open and then the wind doesn't really, I don't know. It's very mysterious. Yeah. So if we include the video, watch the video.
It's a recreation. So there's no, you recreated the video, obviously.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Yeah. The video is not my first reaction because it happened and I was like, I have to document this.
So lesson
because
learned.
Of the stuff that we might do in the future.
Lesson learned. Don't walk out there. Don't do things without the camera filming.
Oh, okay. So everything I do out there, film
just
it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Imagine if I would have caught my genuine reaction.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So now, Frank has a bus in his backyard too?
I do, and people are. I knew as soon as like I said, I'm just going to speak and then let people whatever. And then I got 2 or 3 messages like, "You have a bus?"
Yeah. No, I have 2.
Someone
buses.
was like, "I do have 2 buses." I do have 2 buses.
Just
and a fire truck.
Pay attention to Frank's space and this space in the future because things are going to happen.
I think so. I'm feeling more confident, and I'm feeling kind of more like I want to start showing not showing everything, but giving a little more insight to what we got going on.
We're gonna figure something out.
We're gonna figure it out. But that was
when you
that
go
was an
to
adventure.
Go look in the bus, but make sure you take because there might be people in the bus.
Jeez, I just have this cursed, and that was the thing. That was actually why I wanted to kind of document that too, because whatever we do with that in the future, I was like, is this a bad omen? Is this bad juju that we're starting off with?
That's the truck that I picked out.
And that's, yeah. I mean, it's the only mini truck. Well, yeah. Is it? I don't know. It could be the only mini truck. I don't know. I have a lot of cars.
It's the same truck as my first truck besides the long bed. So I was like, oh, I want that one. And you're like, you can have it. Now I'm like, do I want that one?
I know.
Can I have the one with the non-dead things in it?
Well, I don't know. Because so I put it in I put it in the group chat, and I was very like cautious because I know it is disturbing.
Yeah.
So I kind of put a lot of like, caveat out there about this is not going to be fun if you want to watch it. And Lindsay had brought up, she's all, I thought it would have been a snake, and that would have been made way more sense.
Yep.
Except for this completely intact cat
and
mummified.
So my side of the story is I'm walking around Buc-ee's. I'm in Texas. Frank sends this to me. And I'm watching it, and I was like, oh, he's out there filming the truck. That's pretty cool. And then, like, you open the door, and there's this white thing. I thought, in my not paying attention Frank mode, that it was one of your dogs that you had set in there.
Like as a prop?
As a joke. Like it was a prank. Right? Like it was a prank. Because you're like, oh, let's go look at the Toyota. Oh, my gosh, my dog's in here. Yeah. So I laugh. I know
you gave me a very the reaction. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, but okay.
And then the next thing I sent you was a picture of the menu at Buc-ee's, and I'm like, it's gone. Or I said, it's gone. Yeah. And I think you thought I meant when I said it's gone about the cat, but I meant it's gone.
There was
about
a lot of miscommunication.
Sandwich. Yeah, and you were like, we'll have a ceremony, and I was like, about the turkey sandwich. Yeah, we'll have a ceremony about the turkey sandwich.
I love the miscommunication on all that.
So, and I didn't know. I, the whole time, did not know this until later on in the group when you put it in the group chat and we're talking. I was like, wait a minute.
You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I had to go back to the hotel. When I went back and I was like, let me watch this. And when I saw the no eyeballs in the cat,
yeah,
I was like, that's a little scary. Then my next question was, what'd you do with it?
The cat? I just shut the door. Walked away.
Are you waiting? Are you waiting for when I come get the truck that I have to take care of the cat?
I don't know. I kind of sort of just like was so shocked. I just kind of washed my hands of it at that point. And I'm all, that's a problem for later on.
What did Angie say?
I don't know that. Oh, yeah, she was pretty like shocked about it as well.
Yeah.
But actually not very surprised because like I said, we live out in the middle of the desert. We have 100 cars on the property.
I was like, you should just keep the door open and something else will come get that.
That's not a half bad idea. But then they might, I don't know, that might open up a whole nother can of worms.
Because then they're going to come back for other things.
Minus the cat, the truck is in really good shape.
Yeah.
It's got all the interior. It's got all the cluster. It's even got an old deck in it, But the seat is minus the dead cat. The seat's in really good shape. Like, it's not bad. It's a good start. It's a really good start for the things that we might be doing in the future.
Yes. Mm-hmm. LS swapping a long bed Toyota and going around drifting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's what I have that LS motor, and I was like, we could put that in. That could be put in that truck so fast.
And you don't have any smog laws or anything in Arizona, do you?
Yeah, but not for where I live.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. All right, so that's that. That's that thing. We'll get into the mud and that in the future.
Yeah, and you can technically put that in California too, because in California you can update your motor, you can't downgrade your motor.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so in your 4Runner is what, a 94? So anything 94 and above, you can put it in there as long as it passes smog, but you can't go backwards.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I can't put like a flathead in my my Toyota.
No. Which might have more power than the trucks that has.
It would. Yeah, it definitely would. That thing, that's another whole nother thing about that truck. Anyway,
so the lesson learned here is if you're going to go out and do something, film it so you get the natural reaction.
I'm going to start filming everything that I do around here. Things are getting interesting around here.
And then you take your external hard drive, put a folder that just says future
compound.
And just throw the footage in there because you never know when you're going to pull footage.
Right. Great advice. I'm going to start doing that.
We can get into let's get into the questions last.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Laughlin yesterday again.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Roulette was like, hey, I listened to the past podcast and you said you had good news about the show, exciting news.
And that kind of fell apart.
And again, we're recording these now a week to 2 weeks in advance. So my exciting news was I was trying to go take the show to the Harrah's. So the Forbidden Fantasy show is held in Laughlin, which is like a mini Las Vegas. We normally do it at the Avi. The Avi is not doing events right now. So we did it at the Laughlin River Lodge last year, and I was like, oh, the Harrah's is a really nice hotel. Let's try it there. thought it was going to work. I got the no.
Yeah.
And Caesars Entertainment owns Harrah's and Tropicana in Laughlin. So Brittany, the girl that I know that runs Harrah's, that used to work at the Avi, said, well, we could do it at the Tropicana. That's where we do all our car shows. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, because I know the guy that does the show at the Tropicana, which is Dan and Seductive. Mm-hmm. And you just don't do that. You don't do shows.
It's just sort of like the courtesy that you give other show promoters.
Yeah. It's like bro code, but
bro code, but show promoter mini truck code.
Yeah. So I made the decision that we're just going to go back to the River Lodge. The River Lodge was cool, but the parking lot that we do it in was subpar, to say.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it's just like it's unkept because eventually they're going to build something there, so they don't use it, so there's no reason for them to. Anyways, it's got little rocks, and you walk around, and the rocks kick into people's cars.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's not fun, and it was just whatever. But we're gonna do it in the parking structure.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that's gonna add definitely I've like previously we were talking about shows that bring something unique, and I think that's going to be a unique thing for this show. There's a couple of our club members who for a long time wanted to throw something in a parking lot, and actually it's Vic from Mini Truck Revival throws his end of the year show in LA in a parking structure in Little Tokyo.
So the difference though is this is not going to be in, it's going to be on.
Yeah.
And it's a 4-story parking structure, and I'm trying to get the 3rd story as well. Mm-hmm. So we would have the top of the parking structure, and then there's a lot adjacent to that because the road goes uphill. So you have an entrance at the bottom of the parking structure, and then you can also access the top of the parking structure on a road. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But by the time this comes out, all the information will be out. So
yeah, it's exciting, and it's kind of neat how this podcast has kind of turned into the Forbidden Fantasy Show and Shine information spot. Like we do talk about the show a lot. I mean, because it's so involved with you and what we're doing, and it's a everyday, not an everyday thing, but a common thing that we talk about. So everybody who wants to know about the show just tune into this podcast.
Yeah, and the River Lodge it's cheap, to drink and eat there.
Yeah. The food is super affordable.
Well, she said the lady said that they have not raised their prices. Mm-hmm. Well, there you go.
Did you see me just spill?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good job. Go ahead.
So so they have not raised their prices. Mm-hmm. As where someone that went to the show last week in a Tropicana was saying that it was a little pricey to eat and drink there. And
oh, really?
Yeah, where you can go to the River Lodge and get you can get a beer for $2.
Yeah, you could get beers for $2-3. They have burger and fries, a meal for $8.
Yeah,
it's really it's good, for that. It's great.
Yeah, and it's close to the other hotels. You can walk around. So that's where we're at with the Forbidden Fantasy Show. I had to make another decision not to go back to the Avi because they made the decision for us. But
right.
I don't want to wait.
Right. Well, and we owe it to the people. Again, previously we've talked about it's no longer just shooting out to the show on the weekend. You don't work on Friday, you jam out to the show on Saturday, and then that's it. It's people are planning it, and people need a heads up. So we need to we can't be so. We have to be fluid, but at some point we just have to make a decision saying this is what it's going to be, and that's it.
So hopefully back to the Avi in 2024.
We'll see. But the cool thing about it is after moving it to the River Lodge and kind of going back and forth, once we do go back to the Avi, it is going to be a banger. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. And it will happen. I think is that confident to say that it will happen?
It will happen. They want the two guys. There's the main guy and then the guy under him. They both want events back there. Mm-hmm. But it is native land, so that it's ran by a tribal council, elders, and they, for whatever reason, don't want to do events. And the funny thing is the lady at the River Lodge, she was like, "We're not doing events either." But your event is just like if people were here at the hotel.
Right.
It's not consuming our resources because they have a bad problem with staffing in Laughlin right now. They can't get enough people to work because it's essentially a retirement town.
Oh, okay, yeah. So not a lot of locals are going to go in there and work.
So your locals they're moving there to retire. They're not moving there to do housekeeping.
Right.
So
that's a very interesting observation. You're right.
Yeah. So so they can't. So if the hotel has 2,000 rooms, they can't fill that hotel with 2,000 people. They don't have enough people to work that.
Right.
So they can only cap it at 300-400 rooms.
Which is perfect for what we're doing because, previously we've said that we're not out to have the biggest show. We just want to have a quality show with our friends and have a good time.
Yeah, and I think even if we don't get the third story of the parking structure, if we only get the top and the adjacent lot, we're going to have to limit it too. Because I took that in Photoshop from an aerial view, I chopped the roof of the parking structure in the lot next door, put it on top of the lot we had last year, and it's about the same size.
Oh, really?
So 250-ish vehicles probably.
Which is perfect. Like, to me, that's a perfect show because, I appreciate big shows, and I am excited when there are huge shows for the promoters and the vendors and everybody involved putting it on. But from a perspective of someone who creates content and films these shows, sometimes you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh. But like 250, 300 cars, you're like, this is great. You could, I don't know, but that's just from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into these talking about Instagram questions.
Yeah, let's do it. I love doing these. That's why I'm excited to do these because I really like doing them.
Yeah.
So hit me with it. What do you got?
Oh, I thought you had them.
Oh no, I don't have them.
I could see how much you love them.
I know.
Luckily, I screen capped him last night.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for doing 95% of the work on this podcast.
It's funny because we filmed and I edit it, but you reviewing it, like I can edit it depend on as fast or as slow as I want. You reviewing it, it takes exactly that long to do that.
Yeah,
like there is no reviewing it faster.
Right.
And then with your attention span, I'm sure you've had to probably stop it.
It takes me a couple hours to get through it completely, but I get through it to make sure the quality is up.
All right, so we have from... What is wrong with my phone? All right. Jordan, J Harvey 5150 on Instagram. He just put a list of stuff.
Okay.
And it was basically club or no club, air suspension or hydros, body drop or no body drop, drive it or trailer it. And I told him, I said, we've gone over a lot of these things.
We have covered a lot of those.
Yeah, but so if you go in the previous episodes and stuff, but we can touch on one of those things right now.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So club or no club, air suspension or hydros, body drop or no body drop, which we've covered that quite a bit. So we don't need to.
And I think we're pretty like stout on the fact that body drop, yes.
Yeah.
Except for me, because that's another weird thing that I have is, again, I love body drop trucks. I just don't have one. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Frank relates everything that he likes or doesn't like to the crappy things he's owned in the past.
That's true. And I'm going to stop doing that.
Yes, and I am going to stop doing it too, because I caught myself a few times doing weird things like that. I'm like, wait a minute. I am doing the same thing, but in a different thing.
Right.
So, let's see. He said maybe some shop owners or employees. He said these are just a few of my ideas.
What about shop owners and employees? That's kind of an interesting one.
He was talking about like interviewing shop owners and employees and stuff like that. Just giving us suggestions. And we love suggestions. Because sometimes we just run out of ideas and we're just like, oh, that'll spark it. So you want to go club or no club or air suspension or hydros?
You know what? I get that question a lot too, because I get a lot of questions just on my personal Instagram about asking about the club, because we talk about our club a lot. I mean, we were just talking about the show that our club puts on. And for me, it's definitely club. It's always club. I appreciate the people who are not in clubs, like the lone wolves and the guys who kind of just go out on their own, because I appreciate those guys because they are very fluid. They don't need like a group of people to feel like they have they don't feel like they need a group of people to go do something. They're doing it completely on their own. They're very fluid. They have friends in every club, so they just can go to something and hang out and and just be. And that's awesome. And I really appreciate those guys. But for me personally, it's always club because 2 reasons. One, I always knew I was going to be in a club. And I've said this in previous episodes too. Like, I always knew I was going to be in a club. I have only been in 2 clubs. My previous club, you know, I was in for a long time. And then now this club, now that I think about it, I'm going on my 8th year in this club. So, you know, time goes by fast. But the things that I take out from being in a club is a couple things. I like being a part of a big group. I like having, you know, like a sense of belonging, and that kind of like goes into also the other like aspects of my life. I'm like, everybody knows I'm very much into punk rock music. I'm very much into that whole scene, and that is the same thing. Like, it's just made up of a group of like-minded people where you can go and kind of be yourself. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect for me is just, well, I guess the best example is to be, and it's kind of like has been said a bunch of times, but it's like when you go to a show and you have a whole row of cars and just looking tip top, looking really good, and all flying the same logo, whether it be like painted logos or sticker logos, or sometimes we run plaques, like I run a plaque, like, but just like when you see that, when you see a group of people who all hold themselves to the same standard of quality, it really makes a statement, I think.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my perspective on it.
Yeah, and the one thing I always tell people, because I've been now the president of our club since '98 and been in since '95, is it's not going to always be that big line of cars.
Right.
It's not always going to. Sometimes it's just you. Mm-hmm. So you have to make sure that, are you getting in the club because you were going to rely on this group all the time to have fun? Mm-hmm. Or is it just an addition to you also having fun? Mm-hmm. So you have to be able to do things alone, with a buddy, and or a big group of people. Mm-hmm. Because that big group of people changes all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not, sometimes you're going to be by yourself at a show, sometimes you'll be with a big group of people at a show, and you have to be okay with that, because you can't like get mad when the club doesn't go to things or whatever. So the club is there. Not all the time, you know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say that, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
No, I totally get.
Go ahead. You have to go into a club of what you can offer that club, not what that club can offer you.
Yeah, I've said that before. Also, you know, like that reminds me of the Kennedy thing. Like, it's not what your country can do for you; it's what you can do for your country. The same thing applies to the club. And you're right. You have to be very open to a lot of different things when you're in a club, because like, it's just like any huge group of people. You have a bunch of different personalities. You have a bunch of different, you know, like what some people think in the club is maybe not how you think, you know, but you have to make some sort of compromise. And I think that's just good practice anyway, because that just makes you makes you a better person for like adapting in life, because life is like that. Like, you have to deal with so many personalities.
Yeah. And you get all these people together and it's like, oh, this great time. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't like how this person's raising their kids. I don't like how this person does this or that. And then all of a sudden all these personal beliefs become club drama. And it doesn't need to be like that. Just go have fun, go home, you know.
That's what it all comes down to, is just go out, go have fun, and then leave it there.
It's such a hard balance, right? Mm-hmm. To be in an organization or be in with a group of people and make that last. Mm-hmm. It's harder than people think it is, because
for sure.
Essentially it's the easiest thing in the world, but at the same time it's the hardest thing in the world, because it's almost like a job, right? You might not like management, or management not like you, and all this stuff, and it's very political at times, and it is what it is. But you find a good group of people and just stick with it. And
one observation that I've made, and I've said this, is sometimes you're like, depending on the situation, like you go to a lot of people use PTA meetings for the example. Like, being in a car club is kind of like definitely an alternative lifestyle. Like, it's not what everybody does. So like, if you went to a PTA meeting and like, oh, what do you do? Like, oh, you know, or what's your hobbies? You're like, oh, I'm into cars. And they go, oh, cool, you know, whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm in a club. And it sounds like a little, you know, however it sounds. But one observation I've made is, you can call it car clubs, you can call it church groups, you can call it even like softball teams. Like me being so involved in softball and seeing all of this, the organization in that, and the parents and kids and teams and how they all interact. It's the same thing. Like it's just a social construct kind of thing. And we just happen to call it car clubs. Some people call it church groups or softball, whatever. So that's one observation I've made.
Yeah, and being in a club doesn't mean you only have to hang out at that club. You can be. I mean, I hang out with every club imaginable.
Oh yeah,
and I want other people in other clubs to hang out with us and all that stuff. So a lot of times people feel that just being in a club, like you can't go over and talk to this club or you can't go to that club. So, I mean, I've been to Negative Camber Christmas parties. I've been to Severed Ties dinners. I've been to No Regrets. All this, you know what I mean? So it's just.
I also have a thought on that too, because I can't speak for other places because I just don't know. I can only speak from my personal perspective. But do you think, because people have asked me about that specific thing. They said, you hang out with everybody. Like, is your club cool with that? Like, I've actually had someone ask me that question. But usually that question comes from people who aren't from Southern California or the Southwest. So my question is, do you think the reason why we're so adaptive to all these different clubs and all these different people is because we all grew up together? We're all essentially friends who grew up together.
I think so. I mean, I think that's it too, because Ernie wasn't forbidden at one point in time. Mike Quigley in No Regrets wasn't forbidden at one time, and then there's people that were in other clubs, like you were in Twist Obsessions, now you're in Forbidden, and we were at your house with those guys and us, and I think though, when you're younger, you take it more seriously as like your club, and that's who you're with, and that's who and then you get older and you realize you get old. It's just like anything else. You get older and you realize you're like, oh, but I like those guys just as much as I like people in other clubs more than I like some people in my own club.
Sometimes happens like that. Everybody in the club is just like.
Yeah, who's he talking about?
Who's he talking about? Me?
I'm talking about you. If you're questioning that right now,
That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah, so it's like I don't know. It's just like anything. Like the Indiana guys, like Tony and Daniel. Tony is best friends with the guy from Severed out there, and he even asked me that one time. He was like something about, oh, I don't care. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah,
no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
Doesn't matter. It's you do what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely. You just get in where you fit in.
That's another thing, because every club, it definitely has a little bit of a different feeling.
It does. Yeah, we can talk about that, at length too, because every club does have a different vibe. I remember being very young, and to talk about one club in particular, which is Severed Ties. I remember being very young and looking at that club and being intimidated. Because that was their aura. And it's not, I'm not really talking negatively about it. It's just fact. They used to have t-shirts that said, talk shit, get hit. Yeah. So that was the aura that they put out. I mean, they're not like that. I don't think they're like that anymore. Everybody's kind of cooled out again, because they're all older.
They're all old now.
Chill out, But, when I first started getting into the scene and learning about these clubs, learning about the clubs and their different auras and personalities and stuff, that was the thing about Severed Ties. And I remember way in the beginning going to the Severed Ties website when every club had a website. And I remember reading their rules to be in the club. And I remember distinctly reading you have to, your truck has to meet these certain qualifications, which for at the time was very high. They had very high expectations for their club. Number two, I remember this distinctly saying, your truck must be show ready at all times. If we call you on a Friday night and say there's a show tomorrow morning, your truck better be ready to go. And I remember reading all this stuff and absorbing it, and then going to shows, because I'm young kid. I don't know. I'm just observing and watching. And I'm like, man, those guys are scary, And then I remember one time it was at a West Coast. We're out walking around, and how Severed used to be everybody had their own part, and Severed used to be down at the end. And I was with my old club, and we're cruising around in my truck, and we come through there, and the older guys had known all those guys, so they're talking, and I'm very intimidated and standing there, and then I forget who it was. One of the Severed guys looks at me, he's like, "Who the F are you? What are you doing here?" And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting beaten up today. But it's just funny. It's just a little, little story that it reminded me of.
Yeah, like every club definitely has. I mean, if you go to a Freaks of Nature event, you're at a Freaks of Nature event.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, that's the way it is. So,
which Freaks of Nature events are always fun. Those guys always have a great time.
Yeah, they're definitely big party.
Which we're going to in about a month or so is just the Chubb show. That's always so much fun.
It's gonna come up fast.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one from Saints of SoCal, and I can't click on because I have airplane mode on, so I just screen cap these, so I can't see their real names. But
okay.
The Instagram name is Saints of SoCal. It says, I know there are some trucks that are legendary, but my question is, do you think there is a shelf life for some trucks, and the time comes when it needs to be redone? I've been away for a while, and when I went to a cruise night, it was the same trucks as before, with the exception of 1 or 2 builds. What are your thoughts?
That I read that one, and I actually did put some thought into that. I didn't write down any notes about it, but I was definitely thinking about it. And that's a good question, because there's a couple different things to that. You have iconic trucks like Time Machine, Last Look, that are the Far From Losing truck, that are sort of like encapsulated in time. And you don't really need to do anything with those. They're just around, and people respect them. Mm-hmm. That's easy. That's an easy one to say that, like, oh, of course, these trucks don't need to be changed because they're so iconic. But then there are trucks like that I think he's talking about that have been in the scene the same for many, many years. And one that comes in, the first one that pops into my mind, and I like this truck, it's really cool, but it is a good example, is Nick at Night's truck. The black hard body, tandem black hard body. That truck has not changed in 20 years, and he's still going to shows, and he's still out there doing what he wants to do. So I guess the question is does he need to change that truck up to either, stay current with the times, or like try to be relevant and fresh? I think the answer is it's up to him. Yeah, it's totally up to him if he wants to do it, because but in actual fact, now that I say that, and now that I think about it, that truck has changed over the years, because it's always been a tandem, truck with a shell and a walkthrough and all that. But early on, it was just bagged, and then he body dropped it, and then he put billets on it, and then so he has been doing stuff to it. So, but like I said, I think it's just like that's up to the person doing it.
Yeah, I think people need to. They can do whatever they want, you know what I mean? But like refreshing a truck, whether it's just, you have to like sit back and look at your vehicle and go, okay, am I doing right by this truck? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, maybe it needs some new wheels. Maybe I'll go find some new wheels, like just to kind of refresh it up a little bit, because I don't know, people want to see new stuff, and they want to see. I don't know. That's such a hard.
It is. It's a hard say, because
it's an opinionated thing. It is, and I fall victim to it. I haven't had a truck in a while, but like when I build my truck, or when I have my truck out there, I want to make sure that that truck represents me, and it's nice, and it's clean, and it's like. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, but, I know, because it is because how are we supposed to judge other people for doing stuff to their trucks or not doing stuff to their trucks, or be critical of the fact that we actually should be celebrating the fact? Because if a dude is still out there, still showing his truck and going to every single show, like that should be celebrated, Yeah. And it shouldn't, it's a very difficult position to be in, to be critical of that. But on the other side of the many sides of this coin is, I do understand it from a perspective that like sometimes it does get a little repetitive going to the shows and filming the same trucks, and so I do understand both sides. I understand what that dude's trying to say. I understand that like it's hard to say, I think again, like one of the common themes that we come to in every one of these episodes is just like, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want, it's not me.
Yeah. And exactly. Except you can't have rusty lug nuts.
Oh, well. Oh, well. Mark that down.
I'm taking note. I'm going to send you new lug nuts on Amazon. What else?
I don't mind charity.
I was going to send you something else. Oh, brake bulbs for your Titan.
Oh, I have the bulbs. How
long have you had them?
Like a couple months. That's a whole nother thing.
No, let's talk about Frank.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's okay. I don't mind. You just tell me.
I'm gonna make a fake Instagram account. And I'm gonna ask questions to I'm gonna send it to the drop and be like, I was walking around this show, and I love Frank's 4Runner. I love it, but I noticed he had rusty lug nuts, and I was wondering why.
It's so funny that we do. It's a joke that we're like very hyper focused on these lug nuts. You're missing a whole bunch of other stuff that's wrong with that truck. Have you ever noticed that the interior is 2 different colors? No. See, so like if you look inside the truck, because like when I took it to Alan and he painted it, he blew the truck apart to paint it, and he also put like brand new carpet in it. So he had to disassemble some of the interior parts to do it. So I had purchased this whole interior from a blue 4Runner that was a blue interior because painting the truck blue, I wanted to change it to a blue interior. Well, he only replaced the pieces that he took off. So if you actually look at it, the B pillars are half tan and half blue.
The only reason I talk shit about the lug nuts is because Dave Prater brought it up.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. Totally.
Yeah.
But it's just funny that there's a lot more wrong with that truck.
No, I just like to poke fun.
No, I get it.
So that's what I have.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. Those are some good questions.
I think there was a couple more, but we can leave that to later on.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. I got a build date for my Maverick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's going on with that?
I don't even think I've told anyone that I ordered that.
Not really. You haven't really talked about it.
Try to keep it a little on the DL because I want to make some YouTube stuff about it, but I also don't know if I'm going to even keep the dang thing because it's a hybrid, and if the resale values are super high,
you're making money on that thing.
I will see. They just opened the 2023 order banks at the dealers. They were open for 5 days. They got so many orders they had to shut them down.
That's crazy.
They can't make enough of them. So
that's insane. That's really cool. But yeah, so you're getting a new Maverick.
Yep. The build date is October 31st, so that should put me right around beginning of December.
That's awesome.
And I ordered it in November of 2021.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's exciting. Yeah. There's a couple really cool Mavericks out there. I think the two most well-known ones right now is the blue one. What's the name of that guy's shop? I can't remember. I'm sorry. I know he's a fan. I know he listens. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of your shop, but the truck is super cool. It's the blue one with the graphics on it and the billet wheels. It's a really cool truck. And the other,
his name's Jeremy Bubkiss.
Okay, yeah, his truck is super cool. His
shop is like Mississippi Hot Rods, Mississippi,
something like that. Again, we apologize. We are for forgetful people.
We're not very good people.
And then the other one is the silver one, and that one just got a new set of wheels on it. Which looks killer. Sick. It looks so good. So yeah, so Mavericks are cool. I like them.
Mavericks are cool, and we'll pop
that could be like we always write this down, put a pin in it because that's another conversation that a lot of people discuss is like, are those mini trucks or what are they, like what is a mini truck, so that's adds to the thing.
It's definitely gonna be a thing. I don't really want to get into mine and what I'm gonna do and what not to do until I have it because I really want to.
You got a lot of irons in the fire right now. You got your OBS.
I do.
You got your Tacoma, and now this like sneaky little Maverick that's going on.
I know. I have a lot, and I'm like, I just want to like get something started.
Right.
So
yeah.
So once it starts, it's going to be like I think once the OBS, I think it's all going to kind of happen around the same time, which is going to be really good.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting. There's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, if I keep the Maverick, I'm documenting all that stuff. If I don't, I'm documenting that I'm going to sell it and why I'm going to sell it.
Yeah, that's great. That's an interesting story.
Why I'm part of the problem. I told my buddy, I said, I'm going to sell it. If I could get 10 grand over what I bought it for, I'm selling it. He goes, you are part of the problem. I said, I know.
Yeah, making it more expensive for the rest of us. Thanks, Brian. Not the other literally tens of millions of people that are doing it. It's you.
It's me. Don't worry. I would put that money right back into something else.
Yeah. To build cool stuff.
Yeah. And order another Maverick for next year.
There you go. And we'll see. Keep that going. That's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, this was a good episode. I liked it. Little kind of.
Me too.
Kind of here and there, like all of our episodes have been lately. We got to get ready. I'm putting it down. We got to get ready for the overseas truck episode.
I just put more stuff in my notes folder.
I'm ready. I am ready to go in my notebook. I'm ready to go. So we got to do that.
I just put a Thai truck that my buddy shot, and I put the pictures in there. I'm trying to because there's going to be a lot of this is my favorite truck, or I like this truck. So that episode's going to be a very
visual,
visual episode.
Well, that's cool, and maybe that will get some of our hardcore listeners over to check it out. And actually, that does happen because there have been a few comments saying that I was listening to it and you guys were talking about this truck, and it made me go over to the channel to see it. So yeah, no, that's cool.
And sometimes we're really good about posting stuff. Sometimes we're not on as far as editing the videos.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, we're trying. We're out here. We're trying.
The good news is merch is coming.
Merch is coming. We have a logo.
Yeah. We just have to figure out what we're gonna do with all that. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited.
Cool. Right on. Well, and then also we always got to talk about our giveaways. Go to our websites, check out our giveaways. This episode will probably air while we still have our React drop spindle giveaway going on. Thanks to AZ Pro Performance. Go to our websites. Every $5 you guys spend get you one entry into the drawing.
Yep, and we got a cool one coming after that.
Yeah, we have a good one for the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then next year with this cat truck. I don't know. we're building this thing up only to let everybody down.
Everybody down. It's just what we do best.
That's great. What does your podcast do? It builds people up and lets them down.
It makes us feel good.
Yeah. It will happen. Don't worry. But cool.
And I can't wait till the next episode. You have a stuffed cat on the desk next to you.
I'm not even going to say anything. I'm just going to put it in the background.
Yeah.
For our audio listeners, I was mimicking a stuffed cat.
With no eyeballs. Or you're going to have to replace the eyeballs with big boobly eyes.
Just like those little sticky googly eyes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note.
All right.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for checking out this week's episode. We'll see you later.
Bye.